Hello and welcome to Reading Aloud with Jocelyn. Before we begin today's reading, let's talk about fiction and non-fiction books. A fiction book or story, it's not real. It's story talk. People read to enjoy them. They read in a specific order. It has illustrations. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has fictional characters and fictional settings. Has a problem and a solution. A non-fictional book is based on real people and real events. Fact talk. You read it to learn. You read in any order. It has photos, charts, and graphs, has a table of context, has an index, a glossary, bold words, labels, and true information directions. Now, let's take a better look at fiction and nonfiction by watching a short clip.
Fiction is pretend, a make-believe creation. Nonfiction is real, it gives us information. Fiction's full of characters, a plot and a setting. In nonfiction, it's real life knowledge that you're getting. A book with talking dogs, that's fiction. A book about the life cycle of frogs. Non-fiction, a book about a mouse who saves the day. That's fiction, a book that teaches you how to dance ballet. Non-fiction, a book about a fire-breathing man. That's fiction, a book about the different types of plants. Non-fiction. Fiction is pretend, a make-believe creation. Non-fiction is real, it gives us information. Fiction's full of characters, a plot and a setting. In non-fiction, it's real life knowledge that you're getting. A book about a dragon having fun, that's fiction. A book on how the earth goes around the sun. Non-fiction, a book where a troll makes a princess afraid. That's fiction, a book showing how big planes are made. Non-fiction, a book with a dinosaur who ruins the school day. That's fiction, a book on famous people in the USA. Non-fiction. Fiction is pretend, a make-believe creation. Non-fiction is real, it gives us information. Fiction's full of characters, a plot and a setting. In non-fiction, it's real life knowledge that you're getting.
I hope you enjoyed it. Now that we know a little bit more about fiction and non-fiction, let's begin our reading. Today's book is titled It Could Still Be a Worm by Alan Fowler, and this is a non-fiction book. How long is a worm? About as long as this worm, if it's a common earthworm. An earthworm is a long, thin worm that lives in damp earth, the kind you usually find in gardens. A really big earthworm might reach from the top to the bottom of this book. Some are even longer than that. When you look closely at an earthworm, you see that its body is made up of many rings or segments. Segments are parts. It moves with the help of hairs like the bristles on a brush. And here's a picture of an earthworm and its hairs right below. A worm could be much, much smaller than an earthworm and still be a worm. Here's a small worm crawling on a corn. Some roundworms are so tiny that 100 of them could stretch out end to end on this line, right in the picture above. A worm could be longer than an automobile and still be a worm, like this giant Australian earthworm. Wow. A small farm might have more worms than a big city has people. You wouldn't see most of them because they spend so much time on the ground. Worms make tunnels in the earth called burrows. Earthworms that come out of their burrows after dark are called night crawlers. People who go fishing in lakes or rivers often use night crawlers to attract the fish. Here you have a picture of someone putting a worm on a hook. Not all worms live in the earth. A worm can live in the sand along a beach or swim in the ocean and still be a worm, a sea worm or a ribbit worm. Not all worms have dull colors. A worm could be bright red, orange, or blue and still be a worm. Like this ribbon worm, some ribbon worms are no more than 1 inch, but others are the longest of all worms. A worm could have a flat body and still be a worm, a flatworm. Here's an amazing fact about flatworms, ribbon worms, and some kinds of earthworms. If they are cut into 2 or more pieces, each piece can live by itself as a whole worm. But please don't go around cutting up worms. Look at the picture of this flatworm, so colorful. There are thousands of kinds of worms. Worms are not insects. Some animals that look like worms are really young insects that haven't yet grown into their adult form. Some kinds of brown worms or flatworms can be harmful. They cause diseases among people or farm animals, or they damage crops. But earthworms play an important part in nature. They're food for birds and other reptiles and mammals. Earthworms break up the soil by digging into burrows. This makes it easier for an air and moisture to get inside the soil. Worms eat dead leaves and soil and turn them into worm casts. Worm casts are waste left by worms. Air, moisture, and worm casts all make the soil richer. Bigger, healthier plants can grow in it. Here's a picture of a worm cast on the right. So an animal might help grow the fruit and vegetables you eat and the flowers you look at and still be a worm. Interesting facts. Now we're going to watch a story, a fictional short story about a worm. Enjoy.
Diary of a Worm. March 20th. Mom says that always remember. 1. The earth gives us everything we need. 2. When we dig tunnels, we help take care of the earth. Must make tunnels help earth breathe. 3. Never bother Daddy when he's eating the newspaper. March 29th. Today I tried to teach Spider how to dig. First, all of his legs got stuck. I think I twisted one of my ankles. Then he swallowed a bunch of dirt. I give up. Tomorrow, he's going to teach me how to walk upside down. March 30th. Worms cannot walk upside down. Here's a baby picture of me and Dad. April 4th. fishing season started today.
Did you guys hear something?
We all dug deeper. April 10th. It rained all night and the ground was soaked. We spent the entire day on the sidewalk. Hopscotch is a very dangerous game. My first tunnel. First day of school. April 15th. I forgot my lunch today. I got so hungry that I ate my homework. My teacher made me write, "I will not eat my homework," 10 times. When I was finished, I ate that too. April 20th. I snuck up on some kids in the park today. They didn't hear me coming. I wriggled up right between them and they screamed. I love when they do that. Bees stung me. My favorite pile of dirt. May 1st. Grandpa taught us that good manners are very important. So today I said good morning to the first and I saw, "Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? Good morning. Nice to see ya. Howdy. Good morning. How's it going? Fine day. Looking good. Hello there. Good morning." There were 600 more of them in line. I stood there all day. May 8th. Had the worst nightmare last night. Giant birds playing hopscotch. Mom says I have to stop eating so much garbage right before I go to bed. Me and Spider. Spider made this for me. May 15th. I got into a fight with Spider today. He told me you need legs to be cool. Then he ran. I couldn't keep up. Maybe he's right. May 16th. I made Spider laugh so hard, he fell out of his tree. Who needs legs? My own comic. May 28th. Last night I went to the school dance. You twist your head and you put your head out. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's all we could do. I found this really cool rock. Isn't this leaf awesome? June 5th. Today we made macaroni necklaces in art class. For dinner.
You're very talented.
My sister's slumber party. June 15th. My older sister thinks she's so pretty. I told her that no matter how much time she spends looking in the mirror, her face will always look just like her rear end. Spider thought that was really funny. Mom did not. July 4th. When I grow up, I want to be a Secret Service agent. Spider says I will have to be very careful because the president might step on me by mistake. It's a dangerous job, I told him, but someone's got to do it. My report card. July 28th. 3 things I don't like about being a worm. 1, I can't chew gum. 2, I can't have a dog. Can we keep him, Mom? 3, all that homework. July 29th. 3 good things about being a worm. 1, I never have to go to the dentist.
No cavities. No teeth either.
2, I never get in trouble for tracking mud through the house. 3, I never have to take a bath. Who's my grubby little boy? August 1st. It's not always easy being a worm. We're very small. And sometimes people forget that we're even there. But like Mom always says, the earth never forgets we're here. I get the feeling of being watched.
What a great fictional story. Let's review. Our first book was nonfiction. Although worms are all different sizes, shapes, and colors, worms make the soil richer. Some worms live in water. These were some of the facts in our book. The book, titled Diary of a Worm, was fiction. Some information from that book was the worm lives a life like many kids, goes to school, does homework, plays with friends. The worm keeps a diary. The worm and other animals talk. These are the differences between both of the books read today. Now let's talk about the similarities between these two books. Both describe how earthworms dig tunnels. Both show that worms are used to bait for fishing. Both describe how earthworms help bring air into the soil. I hope you enjoy today's stories and you learn a little bit more about fiction, nonfiction, and about worms. Thank you for joining me and I hope to see you next time. Take care.